Hello, am I audible? I started this live 2 minutes before the scheduled time so that this can be notified to people and we can have a wide audience and people can benefit from this. We'll wait for 2 minutes and then we will start. So, Assalamu alaikum everyone who is live today. Good afternoon. So इस सेशन को ऑर्गेनाइज करने का एक मेन पर्पस हमारा ये था कि एक मैं थैंक यू समीर भाई, थैंक यू सो मच, कि मैं आपको एक जनरल इंट्रोडक्शन दे दूं अपना, और अगर कोई ऐसा स्टूडेंट है जिसकी मैं हेल्प कर सकता हूं थ्रू दिस मीडियम, तो मैं एक जनरल प्लान एक्सप्लेन करूंगा एग्ज़ाम का, और फिर मैं पेपर बाय पेपर अपनी कुछ पॉइंट्स जो मुझे लगता है कि वो रेलिवेंट हैं इस एग्ज़ाम के लिए, विच विल हेल्प यू टू प्रिपेयर बेटर, मैं वो लिस्ट डाउन करूँगा. सो आई विल स्टार्ट नाउ. दिस सेशन विल बी ऑफ अराउंड 45 minutes. देन आई विल ओपन द हाउस फॉर क्वेश्चंस and we'll conclude it in less than 1 hour. So I will give my introduction. My name is Asad Zuberi and I have secured an All India rank of 86 in UPSC Civil Service examination this year, and this was my third attempt at this exam. I was preparing since 2019 और मैंने जो अपना 2020 का अटैम्प्ट दिया था उसमें मैं प्रीलिम्स नहीं क्वालिफाई कर पाया था. 2021 अटैम्प्ट में मैं इंटरव्यू स्टेज तक पहुंचा और लेकिन मैं फाइनल लिस्ट में नहीं आ पाया. इस साल मेरी ऑल इंडिया रैंक 86 आई है इस एग्ज़ाम में. मैं अपना थोड़ा बैकग्राउंड बता देता हूँ. मैं एक अलीगढ़ उत्तर प्रदेश में जो शहर है वहाँ मेरी पैदाइश हुई थी. आई वॉज बॉर्न इन अलीगढ़. उसके बाद मैं आवर लेडी ऑफ फातिमा स्कूल से मैंने अपना क्लास 10th पास किया है. क्लास 12th मैंने अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी से पास किया है, और उसके बाद मैंने 2015 से 2019 तक मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग की पढ़ाई करी मोतीलाल नेहरू नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी इलाहाबाद से, जो प्रयागराज में है. एनीवे, सो दिस वाज माय स्मॉल इंट्रोडक्शन. कमिंग बैक टू द एग्ज़ाम पार्ट. सो पहली चीज़ मैं एक्सप्लेन करना चाहता हूँ उन लोगों के लिए जो अभी शायद इस एग्ज़ाम के लिए नए हैं. आई जस्ट टेक 2 minutes टू एक्सप्लेन समथिंग टू देम. तो ये एग्ज़ाम यूपीएससी एग्ज़ाम है. ये सिविल सर्विसेज की तैयारी के लिए एग्ज़ाम होता है जिसमें बहुत सारी सर्विसेज होती हैं, जैसे आईएएस है, आईएफएस है, आईपीएस है और बहुत अलग तरह की सर्विसेज जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की सर्विसेज होती हैं. इस एग्ज़ाम का जो फॉर्मेट है वो कैसा होता है मैं आपको एक ब्रीफ दे देता हूँ कि इस एग्ज़ाम में 3 स्टेजेस होती हैं, प्रीलिम्स, मेंस और इंटरव्यू. प्रीलिम्स की स्टेज में 2 पार्ट्स होते हैं, पेपर 1, पेपर 2, जो हर 2-2 घंटे के पेपर्स होते हैं. पेपर 1 आपका जनरल स्टडीज़ का पेपर होता है, पेपर 2 आपका एप्टीट्यूड का पेपर होता है जिसको हम CSAT भी बोलते हैं. तो जब आप क्वालिफाई कर जाते हैं ये स्टेज, तब आपको मेंस पेपर लिखना होता है. प्रीलिम्स के मार्क्स मेंस में काउंट नहीं होते, सिर्फ क्वालिफाइंग नेचर के होते हैं दोनों पेपर्स. पेपर 1 में आपको कट ऑफ क्लियर करना होगा, पेपर 2 में प्रीलिम्स को में आपको क्वालिफाई करना होगा. मेंस में टोटल 9 पेपर्स होते हैं. सारे ही पेपर सब्जेक्टिव होते हैं. 3 घंटे का एक पेपर होता है. तो इस 9 पेपर में 2 पेपर जो होते हैं वो हमारे इंडियन लैंग्वेज के पेपर होते हैं, जिसमें हम लोग इंग्लिश के साथ एक कोई भी इंडियन लैंग्वेज चूज़ कर सकते हैं. उसके अलावा जो 7 पेपर्स होते हैं वो 7 पेपर्स काउंट होते हैं आपकी रैंक डिसाइड करने के लिए इस एग्ज़ाम में. बाकी 2 लैंग्वेज पेपर सिर्फ क्वालिफाइंग पेपर्स होते हैं. सो I think I was speaking in Hindi for a long time, so I am making this common for everyone so that everyone can understand. I apologize for using Hindi for this long period of time. Now henceforth I will speak only in English. So the first 7 papers of this exam consist of a very diverse set of syllabus as well as their nature is different. So paper 1 is essay paper. All these papers are 250 marks each. Paper 1 is essay paper, then we have general studies paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 and paper 4. These are 5 papers. Then everyone is supposed to opt for an optional subject. My optional subject was anthropology, and that is that amounts for two different papers, that is anthropology paper 1 and anthropology paper 2. So these are 7 papers. After you qualify the mains examination, you are called for the interviews that take place in UPSC Bhavan, Dholpur House on Shah Jahan Road in Delhi. So this main examination count for around 1750 marks, and the interview count for about 275 marks. Ultimately, the merit is made and people get the rank, in which my rank this year is 86. So this was a brief introduction for the exam for people who are new to it and wanted to know about it. Now, without wasting any time, I will start discussing my journey in UPSC on what happened, when did I decide to go for this exam, and what were my experiences. So I decided to write this exam back in 2018-19 itself, and I had this in my mind that I have to write the civil service examination because I was interested in it. So in my very first attempt in 2020, I was working with a firm called Hero Motocorp for 1 year. I got placed from my college and I could not clear the prelims examination. So that back then I realized that I could not manage work as well as the studies together, and hence I decided to resign from my job. So I resigned in 2020. I came home in 2021 in Aligarh itself, and I wrote my second attempt in 2021, in which I qualified the prelims stage. I went for the main stage. I qualified the main stage. I went for the interviews, but missed the final list by around 10 marks. Around this time, I joined the residential coaching academy in Aligarh Muslim University, and they have helped me to prepare throughout. So I'm grateful to them. Apart from that, after I got my results, I made an attempt in 2022 again, and I qualified all the stages this year and got a rank of 86. I'm sorry. All right. So this was my brief journey. Now I'll come on some paper-wise strategy and tips that I have for you. So let's start with essay paper. Now this is a paper which is very neglected for some reason, but this year it has been observed that UPSC has marked this paper very meticulously, and people are not scoring good marks, because of which a lot of people have missed the list. So essay paper is extremely important when it comes to coming to a good rank and getting a service of your choice. So when we consider essay paper, it amounts for 250 marks, in which you have to write 2 essays, and each essay carries 125 marks and has to be written in around 1200 words, 1000 to 1200 words. Now this year my score in essay is 130, which is above average score this year, and I will just tell some points that I've used to make my essay more relevant and increase my marks from last year. So let us first see what UPSC says in the syllabus of essay. In the UPSC notification, UPSC says candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. They will be expected to keep closely to the subject of the essay, to arrange their ideas in orderly fashion, and to write concisely. Credit will be given for effective and exact expression. Now, if we see all these words, what UPSC is demanding from you in this paper is that you are able to write out your thoughts very clearly in the exam. So what happens is this paper is misunderstood in a way that you have to make it very diverse, you have to make it very rich with a lot of name of books, a lot of name of different scholars, etc. So I tried to do this, and a lot of people try to do this. I tried this in my previous attempt, but I did not get a good score. The reason was that I was not being myself. So in essay, they are asking you to write essays so that they can assess your personality too, because writing 1000 words or 1200 words without being expressive about what you are is not possible, and that is what UPSC is trying to hit on. So what I did this, I was not a person who reads a lot of stuff, though I read a lot of things, but I don't tend to remember it to be able to use it in my essays. But I was trying to enforce it, because of which I was not getting good marks, because the flow of my essay was bad. I was trying to put as many example, as many book names as possible, but the flow was not good. So what I did this year, first of all I practiced a lot. So this is the point number one. If you want to score well in essay, you have to practice writing 2 essays in 3 hours. I practiced around 8 test papers this year, so that really helped me. Point number two: keep your essays as simple as possible. Write in a very simple language. You don't need to write any flattery words, flattery dictionary. You don't have to use any words that the examiner cannot understand. So please use very simple language to express yourself in the best way possible. Point number three: I feel like in an essay, in a paper of, when you're writing around 1,000 words, so in 1,000 words, people tend to overload it with examples and just connect this example with some random content or quotes. Now, what happens is they know that you know a lot of examples because you've studied so much for this exam, you've studied so many subjects, so they know it. But they also expect you to write your own thought. So this is what I did this year. I did not overload my paper with examples. I wrote my content, and then to support my content, I used several examples. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. So make your essay diverse, but please write your original thought in it. Write your content. Be very simple about it. Explain the terms of essays that are used in the topic. Consider the examiner does not know that you know. Because a lot of time we consider that examiner knows what I know, and because of that there is a miscommunication, and you will get a lot of marks when your thoughts converge with the thought of examiner. So this convergence comes with simplicity. So please keep your essays simple. So these are my thoughts, just simple thoughts on the strategy for essay paper. And some other things that I would like to tell you, that just write on the topic that you know the best. Do not try hunting for the topics that people are not writing. Do not try hunting for very complex topics, because it so happens that once you have written 3, 4, 5 pages, you tend to lack content in it, or sometimes you even misunderstand the topic, and that lead to a gross cut in your marks. So please write a topic you clearly understand, because essay is extremely important that you understand the topic and you're writing it in a very descriptive way as possible. So this was my 2 cents on essay, that is paper number 1. Now let's come to paper number 2. I'm going to deal with a combined block of GS1, GS2 and GS3. Now what are these papers about? GS1 is a paper which asks broadly, I'm reading out the syllabus for you: Indian heritage and culture, history and geography of the world and society. So that is what is written. That means you have to understand and read art and culture in this. You have to read history, specifically modern history, world history, and some of medieval history. You have to read geography, geography of the world, Indian geography, physical and human geography, and society. So all these topics you have to cover in it. Now, when I consider the paper number 3, that is the general studies paper 2, the UPSC says that it contains governance, constitution, polity, social justice, and international relations. On the similar lines, the paper number 3, for that sake, asks you about technology, economic development, biodiversity, environment, security, and disaster management. Now, paper number 3 is one of the most diverse papers in general studies, and it's been seen as per the trends that it's tough to score high in this paper. So this paper becomes critical as well. So I'll just combine these 3 papers in one block and tell you what my strategy was to increase my marks from last year. So these papers consist of the subjects that we read even for the prelims examination. So very first thing is that please be very thorough with the basic books. If you're thorough and you have read basic books and revised them as much as you can, you will be able to write content, because mains is all about recalling the content, while prelims is all about recognizing and reaching to an answer. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So in general studies paper, you have to have a good recall system, and to get a good recall system, you have to revise your content as many times as possible. So that is to develop your basic content. Now, once you're done with the basic content, UPSC is going to ask you questions that may be very descriptive, that may be related to the current affairs. that may be related to what is happening in the country, that may be related to your view on certain issue that is going on. So what do we do about it? So once you're done with the basic content, you have to read current affairs regularly. You have to read. I read a newspaper. I was reading the Hindu for more than like 2/3 part of my preparation, and on 1/3 part I was reading the Indian Express. So once you're reading the newspapers, please be mindful of the UPSC syllabus. So, for example, if the syllabus is so well defined, if I'm reading a news on, for example, Indian society, I'm reading a news on age of marriage bill, then I am going to add that content in my notes of Indian society. Because just by reading, I may not be able to recall it when the question is asked. So please be very mindful about this, that you're reading the newspapers or the current affair magazine, whatever suits you well, and you're adding that content in a gist topic wise in your notes. So once you are done with the basic content, you have the current affair notes being developed together. The very important part that comes is when I go through paper specific part, then GS1 is relatively static because it contains history, art and culture, which does not change every day. But when we consider GS paper 2 and GS paper 3, it's very important to know what is happening around you. For example, in GS paper 2, it's very important to know the articles of the Constitution. You have to quote the articles of Constitution as many relevant answers as you can. You have to know the Supreme Court judgments as well as the judgments of probably the NGT or other tribunals, and you have to quote these judgments in your answers because they make your answers more comprehensive, and you are able to give the idea of what the court, the judiciary arm of the government of India thinks about certain issue. So it's very important to have this handy. You should have cases, ready-made cases. For example, some basic cases like Ishwananda Bharti case, Golaknath case, everyone know it. But there are some other cases like Abhiram case, like some other case from NGT that has been given on Yamuna, some any other case. So just keep collecting these cases as per topics for GS paper 2. Apart from that, this international relation part becomes very important in GS paper 2 because it is relatively high scoring. Because you can actually predict the number of questions or the kind of question being asked. For example, this year Quad was in news a lot, right? So we were expecting a question on Quad, AUKUS or BIMSTEC. Those are the groupings for this region. And the question indeed came on BIMSTEC. In 2021, the question came on AUKUS. So be on the hunt of what they can ask this year in international relations, and believe me, you can predict it to a good accuracy. Just a few more points for international relation part. Be ready with certain maps. For example, if I can, and do not draw vague maps. If he's asking about BIMSTEC, if you draw like Bangladesh, India, and just the map, he also knows about it. The examiner knows about it. What I'm saying is, for example, there was a question on the connectivity on energy. So I drew different international pipelines, like the Sitwe pipeline, from where it is coming, where it will go. I marked it in the map. So whenever you're drawing maps in GS paper 1, 2 or 3, please draw relevant maps. Do not draw vague maps, because the examiner is wise enough and he knows more than us, and he can predict and can see that you are either trying to express yourself in a better way or you're just trying to cover the space. So have very good maps for international relations part, and please read the static part of IR. People tend to ignore it and they tend to depend only on the compilations like some main 65 or something. But if that happens, you lack on the static part. So I've read static from a book called Pavneet Singh. I will be listing down my resources on my Telegram channel, that is Asad_Zuberi, in which I've listed down all my resources. You can find it there. If I start telling you right now, this will take a lot of time. So when we come to GS paper 3, I would say for all these topics for paper 1, 2, 3, which are main specific, you should have some of your own notes prepared from the value added material that is present in the market. For example, there's a topic called Salient Features of Representation of People Act. So you cannot read it from Lakshmikant or any other book. You go out in the market, you search for the value added material from some relevant coaching, read it and make your own notes. And then don't refer to the material, refer to your notes. So these topics need to be covered. For example, in GS paper 3, you have internal security, you have disaster management, you have environment and ecology, biodiversity, economic development, technology. So when you're considering these parts, you need to develop a static base in it, and that static base will come from the value added material that you have present in the market. Relying entirely on the current affairs magazine may work for you, but may not always work for you. Please have some good data handy. Try to express your data in a graphical form if possible. So these are just few points that I would like to tell for GS 1, 2, 3 paper. Now we come to GS paper 4, that is your ethics paper. So in ethics paper, UPSC has given the syllabus. This is one of the points that you have to stick to syllabus very closely, because UPSC sticks to it in mains examination very closely. So there are different chapters like attitude, the contents, the component of attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence, contribution of moral thinkers, etc. etc. So what you do in this, the very first approach is to develop a repository of a basic notes. Okay. Now these basic notes will come from some books, like I referred to a book called Lexicon. There's a book called Subbarao. So you can refer to these books just to develop the basic content for ethics. For example, you should know the definition of emotional intelligence. You should know the definition of compassion. You should know the definition of objectivity. You should know the definition of transparency, etc. So once you're done with these basic definitions, have them on record in your notes so that you don't have to refer to the books again. And by the way, my score in this year's paper is 119, and I've increased this score from 94. So a jump of 25 marks in this paper has helped me to secure a good rank. So I think the strategy that I'm going to put out right now has worked for me and may work for you as well. So once you're done with the basic content and you have these notes of JS4 in your with yourself, what you have to do is you have to collect relevant examples from newspapers to support these values. For example, I have been reading a lot of stuff that is floated by the government of India. Some reports from Niti Aayog, some of the excerpts from Man Ki Baat that the Honorable Prime Minister of India puts out regularly. It has a lot of relevant examples of what is going on in ethics, and this is the best place to collect your examples and put them in your notes. So this is one place I did it with. So in my case, I was fortunate enough to have friends like Dwij Goyal, who got the rank of All India rank 71, and Subroto Sharma, he has All India rank 358 this year. And all three of us were out of the list last year, and we studied together and made common notes for a lot of things like ethics this year, and we have all scored well and are in the list this year. So what I did is I sat down with my friends in ethics. After developing my basic content, I solved all the previous year questions from 2013. Now while solving these questions from 2013, we were listing down different dimensions of each questions. For example, if you see compassion, so you can have different dimensions to compassion. You can have an environmental dimension to show compassion towards environment. You can have an international relation dimension, compassion towards refugees. You can have a governance dimensions, compassion from the government schemes that you can write. Then you can write, for example, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. So these kind of example, we listed it down and we made common notes for it. And those things really helped me to, those notes really helped me to quote exciting examples in my paper. The second part of this paper is the case study part, and it's very important to do them as well because it amounts for 120 marks and the first part amounts for 130 marks. Now when I talk about case studies, there are 6 case studies of 20 marks each. And it's very important to develop a fast reading habit. That is the very first point for case studies. Please develop a good reading habit because these case studies are going to be 1 or 1.5 pages long, and you may not be able to read if you're not reading fast. So case studies, you have to read fast. Secondly, do not follow just a set pattern for every case study, because a lot of people just follow a pattern like stakeholder introduction, this, that. I think that is if it goods for them, it works for them. For me, I used to write more organic answers in case studies. I used to use this kind of format too in 1 or 2 case studies, but for other case studies, I used to take each case study for itself organically. What do I mean by it? For example, if he's directly asking question, he's not asking about stakeholders, do not write about stakeholders. If he's asking about what will you do, straight up jumps to options, what will I do. Then write merits of certain option, demerits of certain option, the reason of why you choose certain option. Once you're done with it, I used to add another dimension to it, short-term solutions and long-term solutions. So if you're giving short-term solutions, just solve of what is being asked in the case studies. In long-term solution, for example, a case study is about female feticide. So in long-term solution, you can just give certain journal content from a general studies paper to make your answer more diverse and to show the examiner that your thought is not so myopic just to the case study, but you are thinking in a long-term perspective and you have solutions for that itself. So in GS paper 4, this was my general strategy. I will be making more content somewhere else too. So I will be able to tackle with it in a detailed manner. Now, when I come to optionals, my optional was anthropology. The very first question is of how to select an optional subject. So in I'm a very big supporter of the idea that please go with the subject that you have graduated in, because in this subject you have to have the knowledge of undergraduate as well as the postgraduate. That becomes a huge chunk of syllabus. So if you've already done some graduation in some subject, for example, political science, international relations, for example, history, something else, please try to see if that option can work out good for you. Okay. If that is not possible, then look for subjects like I did. I am a mechanical engineer, so I took anthropology as my subject. And what I did in anthropology is that why I took anthropology, the point number one, guidance was easily available. Point number two, books and material was easily available. Point number three, I had a friend, Dwij, who was preparing from a similar option. Point number four, I found the syllabus very holistic, very diverse, and very interesting. So all these 4 points worked for me. Please look at this, and you should have interest in your option. And please be patient with your option. No option is easy, no option is very small. Maybe there's a difference of some quantity of syllabus, but no option is very small. So be very specific about that. You should be patient with it. Read it as much as you can. I've scored around 290 marks, which is a good score this year in option. Some pointers is that cover the basic books well. Do not go for 1 point solutions. For example, some books who are saying which claim to be the complete package of anthropology or any other syllabus, any other book, do not go for them, because UPSC is asking very descriptive and analytical questions now. You have to read the basic content from the books. Then you can proceed to add value to your content from these new books or one-stop solution books, which also I also did. So once you're done with this basic content and you're done with certain value-added material, start writing your answers in optionals. Okay. So this is a strategy that I use. I was writing tests extensively at Level Up IAS by Karandeep sir, and I was those tests really helped me to develop a knack of completing the paper throughout. So that is very important, and that varies over other optional subject. If anyone wants this anthropology specific strategy, I am again putting it out on my Telegram channel. It will not be possible to tell you everything of all the resources of names and names of the books right now. So people can refer there. But in general, what I feel in optional is please be patient about it. Make your own notes, revise as much as you can, be patient, and start writing your answers. These 5 things apply almost uniformly to all the optional subjects. Now, if I come to language papers, my language were English and Hindi. I was comfortable in it, so I did not have to prepare a lot. But I read for like 1 or 2 days before the exam. So you can take this approach. Ultimately, coming to the interview part, I would like to first give this disclaimer that interview is something that you cannot predict of how it will go. Okay, it's a test of personality. It's not a test of your knowledge. So to do well in this interview, please focus on getting average marks and not falling below average. Now, what do I mean by it is in interview, if you're landing an average score of around 165, 173, 180 is a good score, but 173 or something, I got 173 this year, then you are sure that if you have done well in mains, you will be through to the list. So in interview, just some basic things. Start reading more than one newspaper. Okay. I will just take the question. Please list down your questions. I am almost done with my content, and then I will be taking the questions. I have some questions which are coming up. I will take this question very soon. So yeah. So I was saying in the interview, start forming your opinion about certain subjects, some certain things that are going around in the world. And these opinions are going to help you to put forward in front of the board, because they are not looking for your knowledge, but they're looking for your opinion. Be very honest and always stick to uh, always stick to honesty, in a sense that if you don't know an answer, just say that I don't know this answer, sir. Do not try to bluff them, because they are looking for the officer like qualities in you, and they have listed it down in the notification as well. So please be very specific about being honest in your DAF, honest in your hobbies, honest in your approach, in your experiences. So if that happens, you just prepare your DAF well, form certain opinions on what is going around in the world, go for a few mock interviews, take the feedback, start talking to people, because it's very important to express yourself well when you're in front of the board, because they want you to express yourself. They're looking for someone who is going to address a lot of people in future. They're looking for someone who can put out their thoughts in words. So that is very, very important, to be able to express yourself in the best possible way. If you know certain things and they're only in your head, and probably if you can write it well in the mains examination, good, you are through to the interview stage. But in the interview stage, they are looking for people who can also speak their heart out. You don't have to be very articulate in any language, but you have to be clear in what you want to put out in front of people. So this was journal in general for interviews, and some general tips that I would like to extend to everyone is that you have to get through this exam. You have to be a meticulous planner. Break down your goals, which look so huge, into smaller goals, further smaller goals, further smaller goals. So for example, I knew what I'm going to do for a month, then what I'm going to do in a week, then what I'm going to do in a day, and what I'm going to do in a half of a day, what I'm going to do in a session. So I used to plan accordingly. I kept planning throughout. That was my point number one. You have to be a meticulous planner. Point number two, you have to be very honest to yourself. So a lot of time it happens that we put forward certain targets, and we start sort of fooling ourselves that maybe this is not a big target, maybe this is a too big of a target for me. Please be honest to yourself. Okay, I've not achieved the target today, I only achieved 80%, tomorrow I'll try to achieve 100%. If you're being honest to yourself throughout this preparation, you will be able to work hard. Point number three, do not stick to motivation, stick to discipline. So a lot of people say how to motivate myself to study. I did not like to study, so I could not motivate myself every day. But what I stuck to is that I was extremely disciplined to be able to stick to what I have decided. So do not take support of motivation, take support of discipline. Last point, this needs hard work, this needs patience, this needs perseverance, and this needs consistency. So please stick to all these values if you want to get through. Lastly, please take care of your distractions. I personally deactivated all my social media accounts since 2019, because I am someone who gets distracted very easily. Someone who has the control of it and can use it in a very effective way is welcome to go ahead with it. But in my case, I was someone who was getting distracted very easily. So please be very careful about it. Lastly, an extremely important point, please take care of your mental health. Mental and physical health is extremely important to be able to perform well in anything, not only in exam. And this exam is not more than your life or your mental well-being. So be disciplined, but do not seclude from the society so much that it starts burning you out, it starts affecting your mental health in a negative way. Because I will accept myself that I did this in the beginning of my preparation, and that was not a very nice move for me. So please be very mindful about the physical and mental health. Do some physical activity, do take care of yourself, talk to your parents, stay connected with them. In my success story, the role of my parents and my brother and my friends is immense. I have always been dependent on them for emotional support, and also they instill this belief in me that I am preparing and I can do it. So surround yourself with positive people. Do not just procrastinate on what to do and what not to do. Plan and start now. So this was just a small talk of what I wanted to tell you. There is a lot more left to talk about, because a lot of topics I cannot discuss very vastly in a span of 1 hour or 40 minutes. But I have tried to cover a lot of things just from on the top of it. Now I will just take, I'll just get a sip of water and I'll take some questions from you. Please feel free to write the questions in the chat box so I can address them accordingly. Okay, so we have the very first question from Huda Khan. What do you think is the minimum time span to complete the whole syllabus well? So Huda, I would say this exam will need around 1.5 year of preparation and 1 year of examination, because the exam cycle goes on for 1 year. So you should be able to give around 15 to 18 months to your preparation, honest preparation. Because if you're going for prelims, you should be sure that you are very well versed and you have the notes for your mains examination, because just qualifying prelims will not do any good to you. So I would say 12 to 15 months of preparation and 1 year of exam. Around 2 to 2.5 years will be a good time to prepare for this exam. The second question. While writing the answers in the mains exam, do we really need to pay strict attention to the tail words like elucidate, explain, justify, or simply address the subparts of the question? So, Oshi, that is a really nice question that makes me feel that you are a serious aspirant, because it's a very valid question. I will just give my 2 cents on it. So I've seen that a lot of people are going too detailed in this, that evaluate, elucidate, they are different. I know that they are different, but do not stress yourself with that much of the keywords. Because in GS, while writing a GS paper, I felt like I don't have time at all. I was running out of time and I had a lot of content to deliver. So as much as possible, I was sticking to it. For example, some keywords like critically evaluate or critically comment on this. So I will take these keywords different from the keyword like explain, because in critically I will start giving the advantages, the disadvantages, and solutions. So this much difference should be kept in my view, but going too deep in it and just differentiating between elucidate and comment, I think it's something difficult to do. If you're able to do it, great. If you're not, don't worry, because I could not do it. I hope I answered your question. Okay. Vishnu is asking, sir, I'm preparing subjects with NCERT, one reading and Udan as the base book and Prahar for mains. Can you suggest how to make notes? So Vishnu, I think your content is good. I hope you are using some reference book for every subject apart from NCERTs. For example, in polity you are using NCERTs, then you are using Lakshmikant, and then you are using Prahar magazine or Udan magazine or whichever magazine you are using. So these are these 3 levels of preparation. NCERT the base. Your standard book, 1 level above the base, then your value added material like Prahar and current affairs, that is the level 3. So how to make notes of it? What I did is, I'll be uploading some of my notes on my channel too as an example, but what I did is that I had my basic notes there. Then from Prahar I used to leave some space and write my notes from Prahar or some other magazine on that notes itself. Then if I have some value added material, then I used to use stick on papers. So my notes became organic. There were layers to it. First reading layer, second reading layer, third reading layer. And if you can, then please start making online notes, because that is going to help you to edit it really well. So have the basic content and start adding value to that content from the magazines that you were talking about. So these are the few points that I wanted to tell. Okay. Shams Sabrizuddin is asking, sir, as a beginner of anthropology optional, what should be my primary focus and how did you deal with biology part? Kindly suggest any book referring to the PYQs of optional. So okay. So as a beginner of anthropology, the primary focus should be to read the basic text of anthropology. For example, if you're reading archaeology, read D.K. Bhattacharya sir's book. If you're reading anthropological theory, read Gaya and Upadhyay book. So these should be a basic content. Go with the first reading, go read these books, then refer to the previous year questions. For the compilation, there are a lot of compilations in the market. I don't remember the kind of compilation I use. It's kept right there, this book. But for you can just go for any compilation that are segregating it according to the topics, not according to the year, because you need to study the PYQs according to the topics. So go with the topic wise segregation of your previous year questions. And your part is how to deal with biology part. I read this book called Peanuts. That really helped me a lot. And apart from that, I think if you want to read NCERTs from 11th and 12th, where you can read some of the genetics well, so that will help you. But I think in Peanuts they have given it in a very elementary way. If there is some problem, please go to YouTube and look at Khan Academy's videos. I use Khan Academy's videos a lot to understand the basic concept of biology. I hope this helps. Oshi is asking again, pre-made templates of introduction and conclusion on topic mentioned in the syllabus will help in main 10 on 10. They will always help in main. So I always had the pre-made introduction and conclusion for topics like financial inclusion, topics like in several topics in governance like e-governance and all. Always try to enrich these things either with a report, with a data point, with a best practice of the government of India, with certain kind of schemes, etc. And if you don't have it prepared beforehand, then you will have a hard time recalling it and writing it in an exam. So please have it. It's very good practice to predict the topic and have a pre-made introduction and conclusion and a value-added material for each topic. I know it will take a lot of work, but believe me, it's worth it. It helped in increasing my marks this year. Nikita is asking, sir, how can we make notes effective? Like we can't write everything on our notes. That's true. We cannot write everything on our notes. To make your notes effective, you should know that the things that you can remember always and you cannot remember. For example, if I consider Lakshmikant, there are certain things I'll never forget. I don't have to revise them over and over again. So those things I will not write in my notes. But the things that I can forget, basically did not make any notes from the basic books. I made notes only for the off topics of mains as well as for value addition. So make your notes crisp and write the things that you think you cannot what would I say, you can forget. The things that you can forget should be a part of your notes. Adya is asking, facing issues with answer writing, how to deal with it. So to develop a knack of answer writing, it's very important to start writing your answers. So what I did is I started writing 1 or 2 answers every day, and I was not focused on completing my answer in a set pattern of time. For example, 7 minutes, 10 marks. I was not doing it in the beginning. In the beginning, your focus should be to understand the structure of your answer and to develop a good structure. So once you develop with that, you send it to some evaluator. I was enrolled with IS Network. You can send it to anyone and they can evaluate and give you a feedback, and on the basis of that you can develop this skill. Once you're done with the basic structure, start attempting the questions in a set period of time. For example, 5 questions, 35 minutes. So start developing it in certain fashion. I think this helped me a lot. Shams Tabrizuddin is asking, sir, you cracked along with your friends, so what qualities do you think have made it possible with the top rank? So it's very true that without my friends like Dwij, like Subratosh, like Madhav, I could not have gotten through. The main quality is that all of us were very honest to ourselves. We really wanted to get through this exam. We did not consider each other as our, as a die-hard competitors. We had this healthy competition going on with us, and we were learning from each other. So all of us would see, different people are good in certain things, some people are not good in certain other things. So what we were doing is we were learning from each other. Something Dwij was good at, I was not. Maybe Subratosh was good at something else. So we were learning from each other and trying to evaluate each other's copies. So this point of caring for each other, being with each other for a very long period of time will help you out to identify of things that you're not good at but others are. So I think these qualities of honesty, some people who really want to crack this exam, similar in dedication, willpower and commitment towards a goal, and maybe similar in your sense of humor as well, because I still remember that we used to sit together and talk a lot about things which were very off syllabus also. Like I used to sing with them. So you need to have this support system on and off UPSC, both of these. Rushik is asking, please tell the strategy of geography. So I hope you're not asking it for option. I can tell you for what I did for GS. So in my GS, I stuck to NCERTs. Please read your NCERTs well. If you are not comfortable with The class 6, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th NCERT, first read them. Class 11th and 12th NCERT is very important. Okay, stick to them. Apart from that, I read GC Leong book, both parts, and I made notes of it. So you can take this strategy because the content in geography is very less and they ask from this content only. For human geography, world geography, you can have the content from coaching in the market that is easily available. And please draw good diagrams in geography. It's always an add-on if you can draw diagrams for like different kind of rock formation, different kind of river regimes, etc. When will you come to AMU? I am in AMU. What would be? For the people who are watching from AMU, I am planning a session very soon in AMU RCA that will be open to everyone, in which we will be discussing in a very detailed fashion about UPSC. So you're very welcome to come there. What would be the starting approach to prepare for the exam? Being a working professional, like from material to start with. So I would say for a working professional, first of all, you need to understand the nature of this exam. The very first step should be to understand the format and download the syllabus, read the syllabus well. Then look for the resources from people like me who have qualified, or from any other teacher who is telling you about the resources. Look for the resources, buy them, start reading. Develop a hobby to read newspapers regularly. That is going to help you. Be very patient, because while working you may find it really difficult to find time to study, but be very sure if you really want to do it, then you will find time for it. And apart from that, I was thinking about people who are working and who are started preparing should consider weekends at some, as a gold mine for them. So once you're done with the resource finding part, just jump right on to study part. And there's one more point. Please figure out your optional subject as soon as possible and start working on it, because your optional is going to sail you through to a good rank. I hope I answered the question. What should study for mains, or which books for mains? So for mains exam, see, the big books, the common books that you have for prelims are the same for mains as well. So you're going to use them. Apart from that, the new content that is there, for example, disaster management, internal security, etc., you will find a lot of material in market. You can find online PDF of several coaching institutes. From there you can read. In general, I don't think you need any different book for mains, but you need to express yourself well. How to manage internship, MBBS and UPSC preparation alongside. But I would say, if you don't want to resign, you can still do it. Use your weekends well. Use the time that you are off duty well, and be more patient. Maybe your preparation will take a little longer than the people who are preparing full time. So you need to plan yourself this out. You have to plan this out yourself, considering your own sensitivities. So that this is a very big point about this exam, that there's no one strategy to crack it. There are several strategies that work for people from several backgrounds and their own situations. So my strategy may not work for you. You need to develop your own strategy as well. Kindly give a rough timeline for the 2024 attempt. 12 months from now, what should be the plan? So, okay. So 2024 attempt, you have almost 12 months, okay? So a rough timeline for someone who's starting now would be to start with your basic content and NCERTs. Or no, I think I would start with newspapers, okay? Newspaper reading every day, plus optional subject. So I will be completing my optional from June, July, August, September. Okay, by the end of September, I will be done with my optional, and I will have my optional loads ready. Now from October, November, December, I will be reading main specific GS, but I will be reading the basic books of GS. Okay, you can also combine these. Some people prefer doing optional and GS together. So that is completely your call. In my case, I did it separately. So if July to September you're done with your optional, October, November, December you start reading your GS. To keep it more specific to standard books in the beginning. Once you're done with the standard books, move to the topics of mains. Okay, start answer writing of your optional while doing it itself. And once you're done with GS, start answer writing for GS2. But when you enter the next year, that is January, February, March, start focusing on MCQs. Look what the prelim demand is. Prepare for CSAT as well. So I think by the time you are approaching your prelims in June, you are done with almost everything once or twice. After prelims, if you qualify, you can proceed towards mains in a similar fashion. But I think starting with the optional will be a good strategy right now. Vishnu is asking for ethics. I guess Prahar is holistically covered. What lexicon has covered? Do you want to go through lexicon? Then no, I don't. You are very right in this, Vishnu. Prahar is covering a lot of things. All the basic definitions are covered, so you can rely completely on those magazines. There's nothing wrong with this. There was no sound. Is it audible right now? Am I audible? Huda, am I audible right now? Am I audible? Okay, thank you so much. So Huda, I will tell you what I said. I just said that for working professionals, in my case, I was not able to manage my job and the preparation together, so I resigned from it and I was preparing full time. But in your case, because you are a doctor, so this will be a little tough because your job demands a lot of your time. So what to do is use your weekends very well. Start studying in a slot of 2-3 hours every day. Try to manage it and make your own strategy in a sense that your preparation will take a little longer than what it takes for people who are not working. So you need to figure out your own strategy because in this exam, no one strategy works. Everyone has a different sensitivity. So you need to understand and respect those sensitivities and plan accordingly for yourself. How to manage prelims exam? So prelims is becoming very random and very tough these days. To manage it, I would say you need to read your basic content well. First point, do not mark questions from polity, economy, geography wrong because they are the low hanging fruits. So if you are capturing the low hanging fruits, then you are scoring a basic number of marks. Okay, and once you're done with that much, the rest of the question depend upon how well you have analyzed the previous year questions, how well your guesswork is working. Okay, so my point will be the preparation part from capturing the low hanging fruit should be more important as compared to just relying on elimination techniques. We can develop the elimination techniques and the guessing techniques after you're done with your basic preparation. Prelims and main study strategy to manage it, I would just say take it as a holistic exam. Do not take it as prelims mains differently, because if you take it holistically, then you will be able to read everything in a holistic fashion in which you're not only reading for prelims but you're reading with mains together. So keep your syllabus of mains in front of you even while you're reading prelims and prepare them together. PT strategy, I think you'll figure out once you are done with your mains. There's no specific PT strategy. I've told you in the beginning the major points. Vishnu is asking, when is the best time to start writing answers? Do we need to holistic coverage of all subjects? No, not for all subjects. For example, if you are reading geography, if I have read geography if I'm done with geography, then I can write answer to geography, right? If I'm done with society, I can write answer of society. So I think you cannot start answer writing from day one. But if you are done with certain blocks of your subject, for example, I'm done with Indian geography, I'll attempt previous year questions of Indian geography. I'll attempt certain answers from Indian geography. If I am done with, for example, if I'm done with modern history, I'll start attempting modern history. So keep it in a block format. Do not start writing the answer from day one. OC is asking, in ethics answer, the examples written need to be short and precise, right? The very true. Do I need to mention the background of that event which I'm writing as an example? You don't have to. So this is also a point. You need to, if you are quoting an example from your own life, then you have to give them certain kind of a pre-note of what has happened. But I would recommend to please use those examples which are relevant, which are very much famous. For example, I was using the example of Mahatma Gandhi. I have used the example of certain IAS officers like a lot of IAS officers. I'm actually forgetting the name, but a lot of IAS officers who have worked like Alexander Pame. So all these officers, I've used their names because even the examiner may be knowing them. So try using the example which are very common to you and the examiner. The event from newspaper, do not collect very random event that certain girl has done something in merit, so it's an example of compassion. That will not work. Collect some relevant example. For example, I will say our prime minister has given this idea of lifestyle with environment, I think. So mission life you can quote in compassion for environment, so he will know about mission life. You know what I mean? Just don't quote a very random example, quote the example with which examiner can relate with. And try to keep it precise because you'll not have time to write a lot of stuff there. Can you suggest the number of points for 10 marks and 15 marks? So I think this is very subjective. You don't have to actually write always in points. You can also write in paragraphs, whichever work for you. I would just say for a 10 marker question after introduction, you can have around 10 to 12 points. That would work. Like 5 points for advantages, 5 point disadvantages, 2-3 points for way forward. Try making diagrams also. Try making certain kind of flow charts, mind maps, so that your work become less and you are able to write more in less. You're able to write more. You are able to deliver more in less number of words. So you can do this. I used to write a lot of. I used to make a lot of flow charts. I used to make a lot of mind maps also. I'll be sharing my copies on my Telegram channel, so you can go and check it out there too. I guess we're done with the questions, and it's almost 1 hour. It was a really fruitful session with you. If there are any more question, if you think I should answer something relevant, I can take 1 or 2 in the last 2 minutes, and then we can wrap it up. I guess we're done. Thank you, and all the best to everyone. I'm so glad that a lot of serious students have joined this. That was really nice for, and all the best to everyone. Believe me, this exam just needs your commitment, your hard work, and your consistency, and your honesty. Please be honest. I was seeing how to write accurate with clarity mains in every paper. So just try to express yourself in less number of words. Clarity is very important, so have a good handwriting, not a very good handwriting, but a legible handwriting, and try to answer in points if that works for you. Be concise. Do not write a lot of words that are not going to fetch you marks. Anthropology, what is the role of diagrams like biology related? So I will say I have shared a whole PDF of my diagrams in my Telegram channel. So you can go to either my Instagram biology. I'm saying in Instagram bio there is the link given. That is to my channel, and I have given the entire PDF of like 35 pages of all my diagrams compilation. So the relevance of good diagrams is very much. For example, when you go diagrams for evolution, you are drawing a lot of skulls. When you're going for the theory like microevolution, the macroevolution, the theory of gradualism, the theory of random theories in biology like Gauss rule, Cope's rule, etc. There are a lot of diagrams that you can draw, and it will always help you. But do not draw vague diagrams, because that is going to the examiner is going to penalize you for that. I think we are done, right? Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for joining it. Anything else if you think you need from me, you can reach out to my Instagram or my Telegram channel, where I'll be uploading more content in coming days.